This week on Kengan Omega, we have quite a few things to talk about. Some confirmation about one of the biggest things regarding the story right now. Set up for the tournament, round 1, Cosmo vs Pang, and some more interesting stuff to discuss. Before I get into that, welcome to the Mysterious Wave channel. If you're new here and enjoy Kengan or fighting manga content in general, consider hitting that subscribe button. But the first thing we need to talk about is more confirmation that Tokita Oma and Garuki are clones, and clones of another. First, Nogi did a DNA test on both of them, with them being practically identical, pretty much confirming that they are clones, as Faye said before his death when he was talking to Oma, that him and Roki are clones of another. And then when he got a close-up view of Oma's face, he started to freak out, and then he ended up dying. Regarding who they're actually clones of, a lot of people in the fandom thought it was Shen Wulong, but this chapter pretty much confirms that it's not him, in my opinion. This is because when one of the direct subordinates of the worm asked the head of the worm, Yan, who Garuki and Oma are clones of, he gets absolutely triggered, saying, "Forget it right now, or would you rather die?" Then proceeds to think about Wulong from my perspective. However, due to how triggered he got and the likelihood that the direct subordinates haven't seen Shen, I don't think it's him, and it's another character we haven't seen yet. It could be Shen, but it just would be weird regarding his reaction here, unless Yan wants to keep that information on the absolute down low. But I personally, as I've been saying for quite some time now, don't think it's Shen. I think it's another character we haven't yet seen. But just getting the confirmation that both of them are clones is pretty cool stuff, and most likely the case that Garuki is not the real grandson of Garumikaki, which is unfortunate. Something Nogi also mentions is that the worms are more interested in Oma, which may not actually be the case. He talks about them being interested in Garuki as well, but calls Oma the primary target. I think that's where something's going to go wrong. So if they're using most of the resources to stop Oma from being captured, even though not many people in the worm would even be able to fight Oma at this point, regardless, this does leave Garuki vulnerable, and considering Shen is in the Berserker Ball tournament arena sitting next to the one and only Kazi, I think him being there and Garuki getting surveillance, making sure he's not at risk, but not to the same degree as Oma, will result in Garuki to get captured, and maybe something to do with Kiryu trying to save him, or something along the lines of that, as I do think Kiryu is still completely severed from the worm, doing his own crazy thing, as we learnt about a few chapters ago, trying to make Garuki the new god, or to surpass the old god, which was Oma. So Shen Wulong sitting next to Kazi to watch the Berserker Ball is pretty much perfect. I wouldn't really want anything else. Shen being a newly introduced character is rising up the ranks as one of my favourite as a whole. I don't think he's here for malicious purposes, maybe to see Koga fight as he was interested in Koga. Maybe Garuki, as he has mentioned Garuki, and of course the worm know about Garuki. But him just sitting next to Kazi and possibly having some interactions throughout these fights is going to be some interesting stuff. Also, considering that Oma isn't allowed to fight in an exhibition match, he could be arriving sitting next to Kazi as well, and Shen and Tokita Oma being that close to one another is something to consider. Especially with Shen most likely knowing who Oma is and maybe after him to some degree. But for some reason, I think Shen is just chilling, won't do anything regarding Oma or Oki during these times, just chilling, watching the fights, and maybe more interested in seeing what Koga does, considering he defeated Zia, the person who could have been the head of the worm, but of course Shen didn't choose him. Something else to consider is that the direct subordinates to the head also have intelligent agents, so not all of them are fighters like Naden was and the other two direct subordinates we've seen. So she's not particularly a fighter in my opinion, just a intelligence agent, but also a direct subordinate to the head, meaning she is high ranked in the whole worm organization. That's pretty cool, and most likely have much more of them scattered throughout the Kengan Association. We see when Yan has the conversation with the direct subordinate, we see that he's currently located in the inside, and he's going to have a meeting with someone or has business to attend to. This is alone as Shen is doing his own thing. What is that business? We have no idea. I get the sense it has something to do with the Tiger Nico, as he most likely conducts whatever he's doing within the inside, maybe making him aware of what's going on with the new Edward Wu and the Westwood faction, who are still technically allied with the Worm for what we know. But that could have something to do with who Oma and Gourouki are also clones of, considering his reaction here. Not too sure. Let me know down below whether or not you think Shen is the person Gourouki and Oma are clones of, or you agree with me and that it's someone else, considering Yarn's reaction here. And just, I think Shen isn't really the person. And one more thing to mention in today's video is that the Berserker Ball main tournament rules have been updated. They are now allowing ring outs, which personally I'm not too thrilled about. I much prefer fights that don't have ring outs. However, at least they are not using the purgatory knockout rule, where if your opponent's knocked down on the ground, they have the 10 seconds, you can't fight them or attack them or anything like that. That's not part of this tournament. Hopefully that never comes back. But ring outs being there definitely will be a ring out fight. And for some reason, I think it may be Koga versus Ryuki, where Koga gets the ring out on Ryuki potentially. That could be something I see happening now.